Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Reddit Aliens. I'm John, and as always, thank you so much for being here. A good topic? Let's do it. What's a horrifying or a terrifying experience that you lived through? Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. I worked at an assisted living place years ago. One man on my round was seemingly healthy. He could do everything on his own, but get in and out of bed. Retired preacher, 80s, nice guy. One night after I helped him to bed, I turned away to leave and he said, "Tell the man with you to leave." It was just me and him, so I said, "What man?" And he just repeated, "Tell the man who's staring at me to leave." So I did. I played along. I told the guy to leave, closed the door. Next shift, I came back and was told the old preacher had died. They guessed about 2 hours after I left his room. There were a few more creepy things that happened there. I was on a cross-country road trip from Ohio to Oregon helping my best friend, B.F., move with one of our other friends at the time, R.M., helping as well in another car. We didn't reserve lodging in advance because we thought we would just drive as much as we felt we could handle and pick a place to stay. One of our requirements was that the place have a pool because we all like swimming and it helps us relax a little on the way. This will be important later. We cross over into Utah, and after some harrowing weather events, none of us knew were possible, could be a story in and of itself, we were pretty exhausted. This was before any of us had smartphones, so we saw a road sign for a motel with a pool. Score. We thought. We found the place, and I dropped B off at the lobby entrance to get us set up with the room, while R and I parked the cars. The first thing I noticed was that there were people poking their heads out of their doors and standing in front of the rooms as though they actually lived at this motel, and we were neighbors moving in. Strange, but I ignored it and tried to find a space. I got on one next to what looks like a garage. I get out and start walking toward the lobby. I get to a point where I can see the garage more fully. There is a massive glass window in what looks like a garage with a concrete floor. On the concrete slab were a couple of beach chairs, towels, some toys that were made to play in the sand with, and a blue, hard, plastic kiddie pool. Yes, dear readers, this was the advertised pool. The sign had a full-sized pool in it, but whatever. I was tired and just needed sleep at this point. Gawking at the pool held me up long enough that B was already walking toward me with the room keys. R was still having trouble finding a spot. So B hands me a key so I could check the room out while she helped him find a space. I opened the door without a problem and tried to flip on the light. Nothing. I feel my way through the dark room and find a table light. Nothing. I'm still feeling around, and I heard a strange sound but couldn't place it. I finally find a light over the second bed, and the room is illuminated for the first time. The room was clearly very dated with floral sheets, curtains, wallpaper, and lampshades, all different. What seemed to match, though, was what looked like dried bloodstains on the sheets, lampshades, and wall that very much looked like arterial spray. If this happened in the past, they sure as hell lined the sheets and everything up perfectly again after washing them. Through my horror, I remembered that I heard something in the direction of what I could then see was the bathroom. The bathroom door is closed. I go to open the door, and some creature the size of a possum scurries quickly past me and out the thankfully still open door outside. I don't know exactly what it was, but I was not interested in finding out what it was or what else might be in the bathroom. I noped right the heck out of there, and I was absolutely done with this place. I left the room and told R to stop looking. We were not staying here. I told B what I saw, and her face went from confusion to horror to anger. It was time for B to put on her Karen wig and get our money back, and I didn't feel at all bad about sickening her in this place. I followed behind as she stormed back into the office. I'm listening in to the conversation as I look around at the lobby. It was about 3 a.m., and the free breakfast was sitting on the counter, a plastic container with 2 compartments for cereal that twist out of a small amount at a time, like a candy dispenser. The part that scares me more now that I have had food safety training was the milk that was just sitting out on the table next to the cereal dispensers, unrefrigerated, at 3 a.m. How long was that out? Successfully got our money back after having to argue for a while, They did not want to give up on this money, and after everything I saw, maybe it was rare that they got new customers. I still wonder what I would have found in the bathroom if I wasn't too scared to look. But I think I got scared well enough with what I did see. I was so scared, my adrenaline gave me the push to drive completely through to Utah until we got to the next state. I will still never stay in Utah or even drive through it if I can help it. 'Tis cursed. There's an abandoned hospital in my area that is said to be haunted. It was a popular place to go ghost hunting, but the city made it illegal to go there after it was found that it was being used for drug deals, satanic rituals, and rumors of dead homeless people in the hospital basement. Me and a friend would go there anyway because one of the doors couldn't be locked. The hospital was just shocking. Gang symbols and satanic symbols spray painted on the walls, bloodstains on the wall, a bloody handprint on the wall with the word help written in blood. It was very interesting. The last time me and her went there, 2 armed criminals were attempting to break in through one of the doors with a crowbar. They saw us and asked what we were doing. We said we were ghost hunting. They said we shouldn't do that because the cops were staking the place out, and then they took off running. We never went back there because we didn't want to risk getting eventually shot. When I was younger, about 3, I was in my room sleeping, and my mom was in the bathroom. Now my dad, who we thought had gone out for the day, actually came back early to me sleeping and my mom in WC. He decided to scare my mom by wearing a mask. What was special about this mask was that it was an old man mask made of rubber, quite difficult to find in India at that time. Online stores weren't a thing, so he stood by the moonlight and scared my mom with the mask. She got scared so bad her legs rebooted, and she damn near fainted. Now for the twist. When my dad had come checking for me, I had woken up due to his rustling around and went around 5 minutes later looking for him. I come out of the room to my mom dropping in front of me and my dad rushing to check on her. He had the mask and a knife I had. It scared the crap out of me so bad I pissed myself. To put the cherry on the cake, our neighbor's daughter had committed suicide a couple hours before, so mom was traumatized about that too. Sorry for bad English. It is my 5th language, and I'm on the phone. I love camping, whether it be in a campsite, a state park, or even sometimes remote, but there is always that odd inherent danger, the vulnerability associated with it, so to relax and be alert at the same time, it's an interesting balance, so glad you guys came out okay. I was camping with my fiancée at a remote beach in Australia, and in the middle of the night, a truck full of drunk guys pulled up. They surrounded our tent and started saying stuff like, "Ooh, got your girlfriend in there with you, mate? Ha ha ha. What you doing with her, huh? Got room for more? Ha ha ha." It was a very small tent, and some of them were lying on the ground outside. We could hear them breathing just inches from our faces with only a thin piece of nylon between us. One started tugging on the tent zipper, but thankfully one of his mates told him to stop. We were absolutely terrified but didn't say a word. Eventually, after what seemed like an eternity, they lost interest and wandered down to the water. My fiancé quickly and quietly removed the fiberglass tent poles to use as a weapon if needed, and we picked up the tent and all its contents, hurled it all into the back of his truck in one go, and took off. That was probably about 35 years ago now, but I've thought about it on every camping trip since. When I was a Boy Scout on a trip to the Grand Canyon, we were staying at some campgrounds on the Havasupai Reservation there and had to hike through a dry riverbed or canyon for part of it. On the way out, me and a buddy were about 15 minutes away from members in front or behind us, and we started to hear something from behind us. For those who don't know, when you're in a canyon or dry river or whatever, and you hear a steady, thunderous sound, that means a flash flood. We look at each other, exchange a look or telepathic oath, and drop our packs and run up as high as we can get. As it gets closer, we see it's not a flash flood, but some rancher running a pack of horses at full gallop through the canyon. There was another time one night at a scout ranch in New Mexico. We were all out fixing our bear bags, all our fragrant shit in a bag on a rope out of reach, about 50 yards from the tents, and on the way back to the campsite, maybe 100 yards away, he sees 2 little blue dots moving side to side a bit. Once again, for those who don't know, those are the reflections of mountain lion eyes. We yelled and screamed, but eventually the ranger and two guys had to get within throwing range of some rocks to scare it off. I was sleeping alone in my room, and the only people in the house other than me were my parents in another room down below, which was very far from mine. I had watched some scary movies, turned off the TV to sleep after closing my door. Then after a few minutes, I hear some kind of small noise in the corner of my room, then again from another corner. Then suddenly the TV gets turned on its own. I get a little confused and a bit scared, turn off the TV with the remote on my side drawer and try to sleep again. Then I hear that little noise in the corner again, and after some time the TV turns on its own. Now I'm scared shitless. Turn off the TV again, and now for the main switch also. Open my room door completely with outside light illuminating it a bit, and finally sleep. Next morning I wake up out to find out that some mice had snuck into the house and then into my room who were making that noise. For TV we had Nvidia shields, and my parents were trying to cast some movies that night, which triggered my TV to turn on. Now, this is kind of funny, but considering the fact I had witnessed all that after watching a scary movie, it made it pretty scary. I was about 15 or so, taking a walk around my neighborhood. It was in the middle of a forest, so even in the hot summer months, there was usually enough shade for a stir-crazy teen to walk the sidewalks with. As I'm walking that day, a truck pulls up next to me and the guy inside asks for directions. He names the next street over, so I point and tell him to keep going. He asks if I could get in the car to show him the way. Luckily, I was at that point in the sidewalk that backed up to my street, so I just told him no, again, pointed him on his way, and cut through my backyard to get home and inside as fast as possible. It didn't seem like he tried to go into my street to find me, but just in case, I locked what doors I could and called my father for extra security. Looking back, it's a lot scarier to think about than it was to experience it. I want to add my mom and her friend's story. She used to work in a hospital, and I believe the term back then was a candy striper. It's a type of hospital volunteer job. She worked the late shift, and sometimes her job involved wheeling bodies down to the morgue, but not needing to put them at the body cabinet. She told me how she, and later her friend, ended up quitting. One night in particular, she had to wheel a body alone, but halfway through the walk, the lights started to flicker and then died. Mom had a bit of a panic attack and just ran off, leaving the body in the hallway. A similar thing happened to her friend, flickering lights and a sound from the body. We find out later it's air coming out and a natural, if not morbid, phenomenon. Friend ran off and told her supervisor she was done. I was waiting for the early morning band bus in 5th or 6th grade. No one else was at the stop with me. The parking lot was just single spaces facing the building. A car pulled up before the stop sign, facing forward to the stop sign, taking up 3 spaces, popped open the trunk and started walking toward me. The stop sign was about 10 parking spots away from the entrance or bus stop I was waiting at. He was halfway to me by the time my friend's dad, who happened to live directly across the street, walked out his front door and asked if he needed help. The guy ran back to his car, slammed the trunk, and blew past the next 3 stop signs so I could see. This was probably 22 years ago, and I frequently think about how bad that likely would have been had my friend's dad not come outside. I was drugged at a bar. It was a family-friendly restaurant by day and a popular bar at night. I felt safe there. I was with a couple of friends and I ordered 1 bottle of beer. This guy was sitting next to me and chatted with us. He was perfectly friendly. He said he was an ER doctor and was about to go to work, which I thought was a little weird because I don't think he should have been drinking in that case. He said he had to go to work and looked at me and said, "I'll see you later." The way he said it and the look on his face gave me chills, and I'd never experienced something like that before. I finished the beer and we went downstairs where there was live music. I remember nothing after that. The next thing I knew, I was lying on the sidewalk and my friend was on the phone with my boyfriend crying. Then I remember throwing up. Then I woke up the next day at my apartment with no recollection of anything else. I don't know if it was that guy who drugged me or the bartender. I kept my beer close to me at all times. I'm a girl, but one of my guy friends had the same experience at that same bar. He had 1 drink and woke up lying down in the parking lot with no memory of how he got there. It's terrifying that this can happen even when you guard your drink closely. I went camping with my brother and my friend. We had our dogs with us. They decided to go to a bar a few kilometers away with the only vehicle we had. The dogs were with me, so they weren't too worried about my safety. It went from late afternoon to dusk to fill out darkness without any communication from them. I called them so much that my phone died. The dogs started barking and freaking out, so I closed them in a tent. I checked around, but there was nothing but still creepy feeling. My brother and friend showed up just after dawn. I was pissed and scared and had very little sleep. It turned out they were drugged at the bar. Same bar. They started feeling crap and locked themselves in the vehicle and passed out. Some dude knocked on my door, but I didn't see anyone out the peephole. I wait a second and stare outside and turn the outside light on. Nobody. I open the door and can hear someone shifting their weight on the stairs around the corner. So instead of sticking my head out, I ask what they need. Dude kept trying to get me to stop outside and finally made up a story about me picking on his sister on Facebook and him hacking satellites to track me down. By the time I think about closing the door, I've got enough of a read on him to know that he's looking for me to make the first move and would probably take closing the door as a challenge. No idea if I'm right or not, but I figure I'll let him talk himself tired and bludgeon him with the door if he moves to come inside. Dude kept making things up to be mad about until his cigarette burned down to his fingers. Then he walked off without another word. But while he was going down the wooden steps, I could hear someone else walking away on the pavement. I'm glad I didn't take the bait and fight him, and after the police treated me like an insane person, I got a security camera and a short sword.